Hello friends! Humanity has made a huge journey in the development of science. Unusually outstanding individuals have always stood behind the most important discoveries. People without whom society would stay in the same place for a long time. Albert Einstein is considered to be one of the greatest minds in our history, but his abilities and intelligence quotient at 160 points look rather modest compared to the people we will tell you about today. Here we go. English researcher Francis Bacon. It is called a polymer for a reason. He contributes not only to the development of philosophy but also to the development of history and politics. Dealing with the latter field, he even managed to organize and collect in one set all English laws, which set the course for the state policy in the following years. Bacon is also considered a pioneer of an experimental approach to science. According to him, thanks to science, man should understand nature to improve life. He is also the author of the words, "Knowledge is power." In his utopian novel New Atlantis, which was published after his death, Francis Bacon predicted many discoveries that will be made in the future, such as telephone, submarine, or genetic improvement of the animal breed. Although the scientists failed to determine the intelligence quotient of the philosopher, it is necessary to know that it was Bacon who first proposed the idea of creating intelligence tests. The medieval Persian researcher Abu Al-Biruni is considered a man who had encyclopedic knowledge. He is the author of works on geography, history, philology, astronomy, mechanics, mineral geodesy, and many other sciences. It is believed that the scientist managed to master the knowledge of all scientific disciplines that existed at that time. It is also known that Al-Biruni spoke 10 languages, including Latin, Sanskrit, and Hindi. Images of the Persian scientist about the structure of the universe, the movement of the earth, and the power of attraction were ahead of his time by several centuries. In addition, Abu al-Biruni was the first to question the geocentric theory of Ptolemy's theory, in which the earth was at the center of the universe. Historians believe that the intelligence quotient of Abu al-Biruni was at least 180 points. Blaise Pascal is considered one of the greatest minds of the 17th century. He made a huge contribution not only to the development of philosophy but also to mathematics and physics. At the age of 12, Pascal began to study geometry, and 4 years later, he wrote his first scientific thesis. This scholar is also the author of the classic theorem of projective geometry, later known as Pascal's theorem. This French scholar, along with Galileo and Simon Stevin, is considered the creator of classical hydrostatics because he formulated its basic law, named in his honor, Pascal's law. In his honor, the unit of pressure in the sea system was also named. Pascal was also a zealous Christian and wrote several theological treatises that significantly influenced the development of religious thought. According to the assumptions of modern scientists, Blaise Pascal's intelligence quotient was 195 points. For comparison, the average IQ of the inhabitants of our planet is in the range of 80 to 100 points. A French researcher of Polish descent, Maria Skłodowska-Curie, is the first famous female scientist. In addition, this lady is the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize, and also the first man in the world who received her up to 2 times. In chemistry and physics, it is believed that her father instilled love and passion for learning in her. In the autumn of 1891, she began studying at the Sorbonne and 15 years later became the first female professor. In 1897, Maria discovered 2 chemical elements, polonium and radium. It was also she who introduced the concept of radioactivity to physics. During World War I, Skłodowska-Curie began to use X-ray techniques in military hospitals and also introduced radiotherapy to the medical practice of French hospitals, treatment with ionizing radiation intended to fight malignant tumors. Experiments with radioactive elements could not but affect her health, and at the age of 66, the scientist died of radiation sickness. Her contribution to science, however, remains invaluable. In 2011, the Sorbonne celebrated its centenary of receiving the 2nd Nobel Prize. According to historians, the intelligence quotient of Maria Skłodowska-Curie exceeded 200 points. Unlike the geniuses of the past centuries, this man lives today. Grigory Yakovlevich Perelman was born in 1966 in Leningrad. From an early age, the future scholar showed interest in exact sciences and took part in all mathematical Olympiads. Perelman's greatest achievement is to prove the mathematical hypothesis of Henri Poincare, one of the Millennium Problems. Millennium Problems are a set of mathematical issues formulated by the Clay Institute of Mathematics in 2000, which cannot be proved. One of Grigory Perelman's attributes is modesty. The man refused to accept $1 million, which is due to everyone who solves any of the Millennium Problems. Because of this, he became a hero of the internet. Shortly thereafter, he again attracted the attention of users when he was taking photos as he goes out shopping with the store. They began to suggest that genius lives in poverty, but this information has not been confirmed. Currently, Perelman lives in St. Petersburg and is still involved in scientific activities. Due to the hermit lifestyle that leads so far, his intelligence quotient has not been investigated, although scientists believe it is at least 200 points. Currently, it is difficult to determine how much Nikola Tesla was ahead of his time. Serbian inventors' projects such as AC, wireless lighting, and the famous transformer have changed the world forever. The desire to change reality forced the scientists to think outside the box. That is why legends have been circulating about unrealized Tesla ideas such as the Vanderklaw Tower. The researcher not only made several revolutions in the technological development of humanity, but also left all competition far behind. The presentation of his inventions was always accompanied by special effects, thanks to which the public began to sprout the belief that he has supernatural abilities. According to scientists, the intelligence quotient of Nikola Tesla was just over 200 points. Astrophysics is considered to be extremely difficult and complicated science. However, the wonderful child Christopher Hirata from an early age assimilated her easily. At the age of 14, Genius began his studies at the California Technical Institute, and after 2 years he started working at NASA. The projects that the young scholar dealt with were directly related to the colonization of Mars. At 22, Christopher defended his PhD in physics. It is this discipline that he currently lectures at the University of California. Hirata's intelligence quotient is 225 points. This story is dedicated to people who think mathematics is a difficult discipline since childhood. Terence Tao, the future mathematical genius, showed extraordinary abilities. At the age of 2, while most of his peers were just learning to walk and talk, the boy easily solved simple arithmetic operations. At the age of 9, he began attending mathematics courses for students, and at the age of 20, he obtained a PhD from the University of Princeton. 4 years later, the man became the youngest professor at the University of California. Tao has published over 250 scientific papers, and his intelligence quotient has been estimated at 230 points. William James Sidis is considered the most talented man who ever lived on Earth. At 18 months, he was able to read, and during the first 8 years of his life, he wrote 4 books, one of which was a monograph on anatomy. At the age of 11, William began his education at Harvard and was able to get it the second time. He made his first attempt at the age of 7, but the university authorities did not decide to accept a child under their wings. The young genius wrote several scientific papers in cosmology, American history, and psychology. In 1930, Sidis obtained a patent for an eternal calendar including leap years. According to various sources, William knew from 40 to even 200 languages. At the age of 8, this wonderful child came up with his own language, which was called Vender Good. The language was to some extent a combination of Latin and Greek. Unfortunately, adult Sidis failed to achieve success and make really great discoveries because of the unstable mental state. However, this does not change the fact that he was one of the most intelligent people living on Earth. His intelligence quotient was estimated in the range of 250 to 300 points, which is a record result. Write in the comments if you liked it. You can like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon to not miss interesting materials.